It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be pack-a-punching the Cobra. I'd like to introduce a special guest. Oh my god, you're so fucking heavy. This is ported Stegmeyer blower. Stegmeyer blower, say hi. It honestly breaks my heart that we're getting further and further away from the early 2000s and mid 2000s. We all know that was the peak of the century, and it's just all downhill from here. So I wanted to pay tribute and give this a little early 2000s vibe. Whether you're shitting or eating a sandwich, or you're about to click off this video because the audio and video quality are gonna get really bad here, stay tuned up. All right, guys, so while intern number one is getting the car prepped for our Go Fast parts, we're gonna go ahead and kill two birds with one stone and order some parts online. So let's head over to the web.
Shut up and take my money!
Finally, I'll be able to beat my neighbor's CRV with these Go Fast parts. All right, we're gonna start with getting the inlet hose off the heat exchanger and a shimmy and a shammy. And now we're gonna go ahead and drain the radiator hose. Woo-wee! That's a lot of coolant! Alright, we're going to start off easy, taking the throttle cable off and the cruise control and throttle cable bracket. Next up, we're going to take off my heat shield, signed by Chris Fix, in case you were wondering. And you're going to watch me struggle here taking off the mass airflow sensor because it's a 25-year-old connector. Give me a break, for crying out loud. Also, that black box you see clipped onto my hat, yeah, that's my GoPro that is recording, by the way, but somehow I lost a majority of the footage, so we will only have one camera angle, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Your TikTok brain needs to learn how to relax a little bit. Alright, going forward. Alright, now that we got the intake pipe out of the way and the throttle body, we're just going to go ahead and loosen the fuel rail on the passenger and driver's side. Alright, we're almost ready to take this thing off. Now, before we take off the bolts that hold the supercharger in, we just have to remove the intercooler pipe. Let's see if I can get a good look there. You can see that that arm is holding those two pipes in, so we're going to loosen that up, and I'm going to pull the two pipes off, and we'll be ready to take the supercharger off. I think if we just leave it out like that, it'll be enough for it to be able to come out. Hoses are now pulled out. We can go ahead and unbolt the supercharger. Oh. You got it? Yep. All right, now that we got the supercharger off, we're going to go ahead and drain the oil and put some fresh oil in it. 3/16 hex. Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Alright, now that the supercharger oil is drained, we're going to fill it up with some more oil. I already did the first bottle before I started recording, so we're going to put the last bottle in. We need about 2 of these, which I believe is 4 ounces each. Yeah, so about 6 to 8 ounces. And part number is 104041 AC Delco, just cheaper than the Ford equivalent. And then I got this fluid extractor from Hobo Freight. You can also get this off Amazon. We're filling this up You want to make sure the fluid level is right below the threads. There is an actual specification online if you search it up. Don't want to overfill this to where it's dripping out and plugging it in, because there's no pressure relief for this. This is an enclosed sealed unit. You could blow seals like that, so make sure you're not overfilling this. Alright, I'm going to let that drip out a little bit. So if you look here, the fluid level is right under the threads, and if I spin the rotors, it's right at that level, right under the threads. Alright, so now that we have the oil change done, we're going to go ahead and clean the mating surface for the intake manifold as well as the intercooler, because I'll have to swap out the intercooler under this blower. See here, and then the intake manifold bracket is under here. So just make sure everything's nice and clean, and once you don't feel any lips or any gasket material, go ahead and clean it with some brake clean and wipe it dry. Alright, now that we got the intercooler plate attached to the new supercharger, we're going to go ahead and mount our intercooler on. Now that we got the intercooler bolted down, go ahead and throw this on off camera since it's pretty heavy, and we'll see you soon. Now that we got the supercharger on, we're going to go ahead and install the intercooler pipes and replace the O-rings. And anything that's coolant related, you want to use a little bit of lubricant. I have a water soluble grease, German style, as you can see here, all the German lettering. I can't read, but some water with a few drops of dish soap would work fine as well. Just anything to lubricate coolant O-rings. Go ahead and throw on the supercharger belt and hook up our intercooler lines. Whee! This is not going to be fun, but we will figure it out like we always do. I'll give you a lot of room to work with here. Alright, 3 days and hell later, we got that sucker on. Now we're going to head and mount the intercooler piping on and our little reservoir tank. You see how that is so cute? It's so tiny. Man, these bolts are on their last life here. Okay. We're gonna top this intercooler. Right, now that we got some water in here, we're going to go ahead and let it run for a little bit and circulate. Alright, well, it's running here. It's pumping fluid through. You can feel it here. That's not good. We are experiencing some technical difficulties at this time.
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14. Dear Pig, aren't you interrupting the story at the most suspenseful part? Well, the answer is yes, Sally. Yes, I am. Keep those cards and letters coming.
Alright, save the best for last. We're going to be doing some spark plugs while we're down here. We're going to run the NGK TR6 4177. These are one step colder than factory. Look at your service manual for the proper gap. If you do have a modified engine or are boosted, refer to the person tuning your car. Tuner said for this one we're going to be running 0.026 to be on the safe side. So I'm going to kind of show you real quick how I got my plugs. This is a 0.026 feeler gauge right here, and this is a go no go gauge, which I do prefer a lot more. And why they call it that is you're checking basically gap or clearance. So this end right here is thinner. The part that is more silver, that's going to be 0.025, and then the rest of the stick is going to be 0.07. So it should slide over this part in the front of the feeler gauge, but it shouldn't go past that line, and that's when you know you'll be at 0.026. This is 0.025 and 0.027, so we should be right in the middle. So It's going to glide with a little bit of resistance, but it should be pretty loose. And then at 0.027, it doesn't go past that. And then I can verify with a 0.026 feeler gauge. It goes on and it grabs it just a little bit, slight resistance. Alright guys, moment of truth here. Let's see if this thing's gonna start up today. Alright. So it looks like there might be some rotor-on-rotor contact, possible bearing failure. So I'm going to have to pull the supercharger back off and assess the damage and ship it out for a rebuild, or possibly just get a whole new one altogether. So stay tuned up for part 2, where we do data logs and we actually get the car tuned.